All right. So today is a red letter day, as my grandmother used to say. We have an amazing artist for you, and he's going to teach you how to put mood into your paintings. But give me some more depth on this, Zufar Bikbov, in terms of what kind of mood you're going to do, how you're going to do this. Tell us a little bit about what's coming.
Good noon. It's 12 o'clock, at least on the East Coast, and I'm very happy that I'm in the show today. Thursday actually was the day when I was usually doing my webinars before, and I still plan to come back to that. So it feels very natural. I feel full of energy, and coming from Maine, and during the Maine trip, I also observed moonscapes, and not exactly moonscape, but generally landscape lit by the moon. And I've been painting nocturnes for years, and I'm pretty much known for that. And I explored that subject pretty deeply, I should say. And moon could be different, could be reddish. Sometimes we have a smoke coming from Canada, which makes it very mysterious. Sometimes it's just glowing like a silver dollar. So I would like to show today one of approaches that will help you to start painting nocturnes, and most difference compared to the plein air. You know, for going to plein air, you still have to practice in studio. Of course, you do still lifes and understand shape, and then you go and kind of have it sized to the size of trees and houses, and then you understand the planes, etc. With landscape, with the painting night, the problem is that it's difficult to paint. It's just few light which you should have on canvas is much stronger than what you see outside. But once you paint, even if you paint in studio, then when you go outside, you start observing how moon could be different, and of course clouds around the moon, how they change as well.
Okay, really so why don't we do this? We'll get the show officially started, and then we're going to get right to your lesson.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhoads.
Today's a special day because we have a special artist with us, and he's so good. You're going to really enjoy this. Let's show some of his work right now. He is an amazing painter, very well known for his nighttime nocturne, as we call them, paintings. Look at that. Just look at that for a minute. Look how quality that is. And of course, he has some special qualities we're going to talk about later in the program. But to see how he does this and creates different moods, and what kind of moods can you create in your paintings, that's what we're going to learn about today, and how to do this. And so Zufar Bikbov is here. And Zufar, are you ready? We'll take it away.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So yes, I will show you my setup, and I've been using that for communicating online to my students. And if you've been following me before, you probably have seen that. Do you see that? Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we can see it. What do we have here?
We have here my palette. We have right in the center, at the best focus, our canvas, and of course we see one of my nocturnes, which I painted last year, and it had a lot of response and conversations. I've been talking to people who are art enthusiasts, as I guess many in our audience today, and those who are professional artists, and of course those who are just art lovers. They come and they explain how it feels. So let me talk about the painting itself, and then I will switch to the technique approach, which will help our audience to start painting landscape under the moon, at home in studio, and then going outside observing, and then being brave enough and go and paint it like en plein air. That's what we promote. So I don't want to really go through all these details, even though, of course, it's just more than the moon view. But it's very important to start with elements. Of course, there are some foundational things which we learn and then still keep learning, like values, composition, etc. Here we'll focus on the moon itself, and moon surrounded by cloud create that sort of mood. And it's not a secret that the moon looks like an eye in some situations, and it could be eye with the moon as a pupil or iris. Sorry for my medical terms. I have a medical background, but I think it's pretty easy. I mean, most people know it. And the second thing is sometimes it looks like an animal. This blue part, which we see like surrounding moon, it could be head of the animal, etc. Of course, as we follow traditional approach, we don't try to make it look exactly as an animal, especially repeating it from painting to painting. Too much fun, of course. At the same time, it could be a little bit of kitschy. At the same time, the whole subject of the mood of the composition of the nocturne can lead you to think about, oh, this looks like, yes, a sail, or it's like fading dreams, etc. The symbol, and the second could be like a horse, maybe, and it's also means some movement. And then people put their philosophical meaning. So here it's pretty the nocturne, which doesn't look like anything like that. The only thing here that I tried to add a little bit of geometry, which is a little bit unusual, is that these edges of the clouds around the moon are pretty straight. And I think it works well. Second thing, each painting is unique because when we kind of like work on painting, as Picasso said, the painting makes me to paint it. So it's kind of like interactions, like a dance between what you see, constant analyzing your movement and seeing what's happening on the canvas. So, but let's focus on technique. And technique-wise, it's pretty simple. And when when we think about the canvas, so white canvas is already painted. Unfortunately for nocturnes, 𝗖𝗶𝗁𝗁 painting right on white canvas doesn't work very well. You need to tone your canvas. You can tone it with oils, or you can tone it with acrylics. Of course, if you tone it with acrylics, your canvas should be acrylic-based gessoed. And so I used this one. Of course, when you study, you use a lot, you paint a lot, and of course you experiment a lot. I did, and I still do. And here we have like small amount of phthalo green acrylic with some gray, just to mute it down and make it more opaque. And the bottom, I used the burnt umber. So why burnt umber? Basically, moonlight differs from the daylight, not only because daylight is much stronger. Overall, we have a lot of light coming from the sun dispersed in the sky, and sky is shining. It's a source of light, and this is not the case in nocturne. You know, the open sky itself just really has no light unless it's very late. I mean, early or very late night when we have already the sun like lighting it. Clouds could be a source of light, but the moon itself looks like just a disk, and we have no troubles looking at it. Looking at the sun is a problem. And of course, it can cause cataracts. UV light is another issue, etc. So, and light itself from the moon is cool. It's considered to be cool. And what does it say? You know, we know the rule of the simultaneous color contrast. If you put next to gray some red, it looks greenish. If you put it yellow, it looks bluish, etc. With the moonlight, the light itself is cool, which makes our shadows in other parts, or even like neutral dark spots, look warmer. And what's warm to the green or a grayish green or grayish blue is obviously those warm colors like brown, and the browns, of course, could be like more on the red side or yellow side. So that is why we have a contrast here for this lit area, which work like a source of light, a warmer contrast with the browns. And I mean, any artist could say it's pretty pleasing combination. This brown with this green. color. So my advice number one would be, when you paint it, you try to tone it close in value to the value of big part of your sky. I mean, here we have clouds, and I think I got pretty close, the value of this tone canvas to the value of clouds, at least around the moon. What else? We don't have to be very accurate with color. The value, yes. Color, something from that family. Why? Because of one of the benefits, I should say, that's pretty cool for starting artists. There is a tendency to paint very thinly, because you think when you paint thinly, removing extra paint is not the problem. So we're kind of scared to paint tense with smaller brushes and with a smaller amount of paint. And paint is expensive, so you have it on canvas. So many people put small amounts. It works perfectly well for nocturne painters, because the painting should be thin enough, at least in sky area. Why? Because of dark paint glares a lot. And if you'll try to then varnish it, it will be very difficult to observe it at home. And of course, it doesn't work for the watercolor artists and for most of acrylic painters. But for the oil painters, it really matters. And finally, when we finished our painting, so we tried to take some like smaller, very soft brush before we put final detail and go kind of create those grooves by hair, not horizontal and not even vertical, but almost vertical, but under some angle. They say, and I observed that it helps with hanging painting on the wall. So you kind of know where the source of light could be, and it will not glare. Of course, the major light could be from the window or from the big lamp, and of course, you can have a dedicated light over the nocturne, which really is cool. So, I mean, there are many things to share. Shall we start painting sooner?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes. So, of course, I'm not going the full extent of this landscape. Just let's focus on the moon.
There's only so much time.
Also, I mean, understanding, yes. So let me start drawing, and I just will copy exactly what we have on the screen. A little bit of some moon. And I'm using oil pastel. That really helps. And of course, cheaper pastel is better, actually, because it has less pigment, more of wax. And you basically need to put a few traces just to follow, Okay, I don't like this design, because on the left we have just sort of inspiration, and I think that's pretty much it. I'm not going to put any stars. So you could see here two types of clouds. Some of them are dark, and they are dense. And these clouds, by the shape, you could say they're not high-flying clouds. They are happening after the storm, very fast running. Of course, you cannot really rely like seeing them and painting them for even like 15 minutes. They will be gone in a minute most of the time. And these are those clouds which are around the moon, the lighter ones. They are like a veil. They're pretty much transparent. And they quite often are high enough, and quite often they create feeling of a feather, and kind of consist of many little pieces. So you can really paint them feathering. It's again those people who like smaller brush, they'll really enjoy painting. Not in this case, because again here the painting was not only about the sky, even though mostly yes, there was some haven, there were some boats and glow on the water. Also, there is something which is on the lower parts of the air next to the Earth is a humidity. And humidity, when it's heavy, you can see the halo around even the street lights. So here I have very little of the halo. But of course, it could be like this. It could be, of course, wider, depending how much moisture we have in the air. And what's interesting, light around the moon itself is usually cool. It goes cool, cool, cool. And then the same way as a rainbow goes, it turns to different colors, and it could be warmer. You see the band of the kind of like a reddish or orangey color, and then it turns to be neutral. And of course, the most prominence of the light on clouds will be just next to it. If clouds were denser next to it, would have those highlights, as you can see on this one. And again, that's the only source of light, the moon itself. The sky is not shining anymore. So shall I include the dense one? Let's do that, because we are learning, and people who are doing it, painting along, and would like to learn from this demo practically. I think they will benefit if I include this one. So what we start with, moon itself, this type of clouds, denser color clouds, or the sky around it. We would, that's the human nature. We want dopamine, right? There are so many people who kind of go shopping, etc. Something is happening with our brain as well. We want to be happy, want to have some sort of control, just not going crazy, because the painting itself is art, and there are so many uncertain things in the beginning. I still want you to suggest working on dark part of the sky first. And that will give you a feeling where the moon itself and where these clouds are. And since clouds are in the value, are close to what they are supposed to be, that will make you feeling that the painting is like halfway through. Let's do it. And I have here on my palette, Eric, how are we about the time? Are we
we're fine. I'll give you a clue when we're getting running low.
Okay, very good. So you can paint the whole Nocturne with the 3 paints. That's also haven for people who are like the limited palette. So you can limit your palette to burnt umber, the ultramarine blue, and so the logo is covering this part, but here's the titanium white. And the rule number 1 when we paint, and I also mentioned that in 4 steps in landscape painting, first layer is thin. And again, as I said earlier, the second layer will be thin enough as well. But
so
when
what Zufar is referring to is he's got a video called 4 Steps in Landscape Painting, and it's at painttube.tv. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, and that first layer, at least as I was taught in Russia, painting, and then I've seen that no matter which people coming from school, from Kazan, my hometown, which is 𝗖𝗍𝗂 𝗁𝗂𝗁's hometown, Moscow, St. Petersburg, the eastern and western part of the country, it's the same approach. You start first trying to achieve correct values, and you work on thin layer. That's most important. And since we paint with oils, it still stays wet, and you can add them like color diversity. You can add a little bit of green, a little bit of extra red, etc. So I will start with this mix.
The question was, these principles apply to the street lights as well as the moon? Pretty much the same principles, the halos?
I think so. The only difference, you do not really see clouds around the street lights, but the halo effect, yes. Halo effect, I would say there is more impact of the LED. Most of lights now are LED. Some of them are really cool as a moon. They will not probably have that complexity pearly effect, but some days you can see the whole colors there around the street lights. But traditionally, we like streetlights which look like a fire. I mean, through the whole 20th century, we had those warm or soft, warm colors. That works very well. Palette could be a little bit deceiving, but as when we've been recording, I've been using the gray palette, and I also like gray palette because I can understand value better on my palette before I transfer it here. But the first try is happening here. And as a medium, I use 𝗭𝗂𝗁 gel, and here I have not medium. I used to use in my educational video for the 4 steps, I had the 𝗖𝗂𝗃 liquid. I think with all these plein air events, I switched totally to 𝗖𝗂𝗃 gel. It's portable. It's not running if your palette is vertical, and it dries fast. Yeah. On screen, I think our cameras, digital cameras, really like blue color, and they make it much more intense. So my colors, which I have on my canvas right now in front of me, are more muted. One of the beauties of the nocturnes as well, there are fewer details you need to focus on. I'm not talking about exactly the painting with this moon, but overall, you can really put emphasis with lit area, with standing in right place, that this is important. Everything else can stay in shade. And you can manipulate this way with composition. And of course, it's a matter of design of the clouds around. Everything is soft. I know many of students say, you know, how, like in that day painting, they achieve those sharp edges. In Nocturne, you really don't really care about the sharp edges until probably the last phase of painting, finishing it. Okay, so I know maybe it's, if I were painting it and not talking, I would probably start thinking, shall I add here a little bit of addition? This is lace, that's your own design. And at one point you feel that you enjoy it. And if you're a little stressed when you paint, you can really work on it on paper and see what, in the same way as you work with any landscape. There are some masses, and you move them to the right, to the left, and clouds are very forgiving. Yeah, let's have one mass here closer, this a little bit in the distance. Again, it doesn't have to be definite. So this already kind of like looks close. So now about the color of the moon itself. If you walked a lot under the stars and looking at the moon, you know that at this the moonrise, the moon is beautiful. It's huge. It's a kind of pinkish and orangey. If you can see it, of course, if clouds don't cover it. And then it gets lighter and brighter. That's just atmosphere. Like when it's moon comes close to zenith, it's a really thinner atmosphere for the light to pass through, and then it becomes very cool. So you kind of decide which moonscape you like, and the moon view. So I will choose that moon, which is kind of like an intermediate stage. It's not that just almost like colorless white, and not that orange and pinkish when it's at the horizon, because then it really doesn't have enough power to lit another object, especially giving enough glow, just very little glows happening. So for my my third favorite color, which I like, is of course is orange. Not of course, but and I use two types of orange, and one of them is pearl orange, and the second one is cadmium. Cadmium, you know, especially for beginners, it could be a little too expensive. Pearl is an interesting color actually, because it's looks orange, but once you mix it with white, it turns to be pink. And you really should not afraid of colors which give you like in mix some kind of like kitschy color too plain because of we are painters, which we're not graphical people who work just mainly with the shapes. Really like making colors complex. So I'll use a little bit of sienna, the ochre, a little bit of this color. I do not know, can you see that? But
yeah.
I don't want to go with cadmium, the full strength right now in the beginning, because I need to preserve power to go brighter, more colorful later. That's the rule as well. I just will try to be close enough in values. And of course, I apply here a thicker layer of paint because I need to remove that excess of green. I still will create a little bit of halo. And of course, we can take a different, smaller brush just to soften edges. You can also work with a piece of tissue. Even though the moon itself is here close to the full moon, I still like to start with those angles. So what I want to show you, so while you see what we have here, it doesn't seem to be very impressive. We still need to work on clouds, and that was our focus. I'll let the sky area to dry. I want to show you what's happening here around the moon. Can you see that there is green and there is orange? And the orange, right on the edge of the moon, is more on the one side, and the green, which is cooler, like as they say on 3-4 o'clock. So this effect creates, I don't know, maybe it's because of aging or something. I start seeing it more. It's because of, if you look at the moon, it doesn't hurt compared to the sun. I see different bands, and kind of not only going from the white, then through yellow, then through orange, then through the red, etc. That would be probably for the bright, the glowing of the bright, like I don't know, any object. But with a more gentle light of the moon, we want more of the color presentation and create a pearly effect, which is not that bright chromatically, not that intense, but still creates feeling of glowing. So so now we can work on our clouds around. And as you know from my teaching experience, that I like going back and forth because it's, even 𝗖𝗂𝗁𝗏 painting is not really one layer. We try to do it as minimal as possible, but it's not one layer. So I'm creating a few mixes, and those mixes will be for the clouds around. You probably can see that this mix is more on a violet and a pinkish color. And once I add it over the green, very thinly, that interaction of visible green and this pink color create a vibration of the chromatically. I'm working with one mix, but since I have underpainting, which have suggestion of green, pretty good suggestion of green. So it looks like a very complex mix of paint was applied. So we need a little bit of strength of the green. I said quite often here we have like a cooler light, and then we have the band of warmer. So we need the next color. And here, those people who like the phthalo green or any mixes which have it will be happy. Of course, just have it so small, like micro, nano amounts. So this could really work without any complications when you start looking at the painting under different light source, like LED light or other light, and then the colors look crazy. But at the same time, for the moon landscape, nothing looks crazy because you try to have it all muted and just go from that mutinous to a color, not starting with like a day painting with very bright colors, and they look too much at times. What I'm going to use, I like for my nocturnes the cobalt green from Rickson, but of course it's what it has. So I don't think it's the full cobalt. I think it has small amount of phthalo green. That's exactly what I need. That's important because of different brands or different pigments combination use, and we need to know that which one would work. I want, to take a bigger brush. And again, if you lost these shapes, it's not a big issue because once they settle, we can really go again with thicker paint application, and we'll carve our cloud shapes.
So we're going to give you about 1 more minute, and then we're going to take a quick break.
Okay, and I'll get ready for the next stage. And more of explanations. The painting which we look at, sometimes when we get distracted listening to podcasts, whatever, we all listen to psychological podcasts or listen to the book, audiobooks, trying to save time. We don't really see what's happening on our canvas. Or we look at the canvas and too much focused on how it looks like, analyzing it, and then we get discouraged most of the time. So you really need to know when exactly you need to evaluate your painting for the progress, and be happy when it's really start looking well. If you look at this painting at this stage and kind of squint, as one of the landscape painters trick, you start seeing that there is still a little of pink here, a little bit of brown was here initially. This cool light around looks, actually, that's as it's usually around the moon. Only thing is, you see how this yellow is doesn't give that yellow light around. So believe me, I'll get rid of it, and I'll add needed yellow on clouds in after the break.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Our guest today is Zufar Bikbov, and we are doing mood paintings, nocturne paintings. It's awesome. This is great. I've learned so much already that I never knew. He's amazing. Zufar has an incredible video with us. It's essentially called 4 Steps to Landscape Painting, and it is kind of the basics of all of his philosophies on painting, and it goes through a lot of different things that you can learn. So check it out at painttube.tv. All right. Also, I just want to let you know we have a free gift for you. If you're new to us today, or if you haven't got this gift yet, it's 97 Incredible Art Secrets, and just get it. It's a 2-hour video. It's yours free. You can watch it instantly. Just go to 97artsecrets.com/ASL. For those of you who are still living in DVD land, which some of you are, if you pay the shipping, we'll send you that on DVD. Okay, so a couple of things we've got going on here. First off, we have Gouache Live is coming up, and we have some great guests. August 23rd. It's a one-day event. It's about, $47 to attend. It's very, very inexpensive. some incredible teachers teaching in gouache. And everybody's painting gouache these days because it's just so much easier to travel with. So check it out. Just go to 𝗭𝗂𝗄𝗏live.com. We also have a webinar today. I'm not sure what time that webinar is. Maybe, it's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern, so almost an hour after we end. Carrie Stober is going to be hosting with Truman Hosner. And this is 5 essential steps to overcoming the biggest pastel challenges. And you don't want to miss this. It's going to be really terrific. That's 2 p.m. today. Just go to streamlineartevents.com/pastel. All right. Now, we also have, I just want to let you guys know that a lot of people want to learn how to sell their paintings. I know I wanted to learn and I had to figure it out. And so I've been teaching people how to sell paintings for years, but there are people who are smarter than I am, thankfully. And so I put together a day. It's called Art Business Mastery Day. Hello. And I've got several experts who are going to be on that day, and it's going to be phenomenal. We haven't announced those names yet, but this whole day is about helping you learn how to sell your art, make more money, get into art galleries, price your work, all kinds of other things, goal setting, and some other surprises. So sign up for that. Again, it's not a very expensive day, and it's going to be making you money. That's the goal here. Let's go to artbizmastery.com. And last but not least, Fall Color Week is coming up, and I've uploaded some photos of Door County, Wisconsin, and also some images. I just want to comment on a couple of these. Lake Michigan is stunning in certain areas. It's like Maine, right? These big rocky cliffs, incredible to paint. Of course, the color in Door County is world-renowned. Next slide. There's a lot of little marinas and villages, a lot of fall color. There's lots of lighthouses. Next slide. This is a winter painting, but there's also a lot of farms around there if you like to paint farms. I don't live in an area that has a lot of farms typically, so it's kind of fun. Also, I pulled these are paintings that other people have done. I pulled these from the Door County Paint Out website. I'm sorry to the artists, I can't read the signatures, but this gives you a feel for the area. We're going to be painting there for 7 days, and it will be an opportunity to paint together. We will give you the painting locations. You can find them or you can go off on your own. And we're all staying together. The event includes everything that you need, your food, your lodging, your entertainment. Just go to fallcolorweek.com. We typically do portraits at night. We have a lot of fun. It's fun to get to know other people. The friendships that come out of these are spectacular. So fallcolorweek.com. Don't want to miss this. Okay, back to Zufar.
So we're back to this stage, and what I did while I was listening to very exciting opportunities to join and paint together and then learn, of course, that's actually good time, which every artist should take a few minutes to step back from your painting. I will not anymore. Of course, recommend, as probably artists did like 100 years ago, to smoke a pipe or a cigarette and then coming back to the painting. You can have a coffee, tea from your thermos or whatever beverage you like. Once you come back to your painting, you start seeing everything again refreshed, like your memory was refreshed. You're very sharp again to see details, colors, etc. What I did, I slightly worked on just applied line with a lighter oil pastel and kind of like reshaped my clouds. If this still not working, you kind of think, something's wrong and I really don't want to paint, and then look for the shape and then paint again. And then I end up losing a lot of time, having too much mess on my painting. There are colors not anymore, and values, more importantly, are not those which were initially. You get tired of it, What I do, I usually grab my sketchbook and I draw design there. But I'm pretty happy how this looks here now. And I also, since I was trying to create, kind of adding a little bit of yellow around, kind of limited size of my moon to where it's supposed to be. Otherwise, it looked huge. And if we are following, I mean, you've seen I kind of even made it bigger. Again, with this cloud here, that's probably close to what it is. It still wasn't that huge. So I kind of like drew over it. And oil pastel is great because it has wax and pigment. You know, wax is oil soluble, or with any medium which dissolve oil. And the pigment should be small amount. So I really like when I work with the bronze color, which just barely leave any kind of traces. It still gives me a path to improve it. You know, once I applied first these dark colors compared to everything else, it looked okay because I was just kind of covering the whole that area with some darker value on contrast. You couldn't see details. But now, if it still bothers you and you think like, you know, it's maybe you put there too much oil, not much of medium, or no medium at all, and the paint itself will dry slowly, you can take, of course, the wider brush and would go, as I said, with some sort of very light, with some sort of angle, with very light touches. Actually, this is settling already because I used my medium, but you could do this. And again, not straight vertical, but under some angle, and not horizontal. Horizontal would be a mistake because that will glare under any light which is above the painting. So back to our regular brushes. Now I have some lines and outlines for my clouds, and I still can use the same mix. I have here more of pinkish. I want to create that shimmer with pink and green being next to each other, plus whatever is, yes, the softness of edges. Believe me, making those sharp edges to reworking this dark is easy in this case. Sky itself, once we applied value, I like starting with the sky because it's really not much bound to anything else. At the same time, it gives you some sort of camera tone you can really always look at and say, you know, everything like should be this object should be darker than the sky. This object should be lighter than the sky. So you need to be accurate. At the same time, it's in most cases, open sky is simple. You know, it's just like a couple of colors mixed. Blue, of course, white, some yellows, a little bit of orange quite often. What's started bothering me here, again, not the shape of these clouds, but, you know, the moon as a source of light is very weak. Again, and this area should be darker. You can see that on our reference. So I will start mixing colors now, which are here actually don't get much of brown, even though they look like brown, because this kind of have a lot of green. It looks going to the red. We kind of try to mix, neutral mix. And if it doesn't look warmer, we'll start making it warmer. And we'll start adding some paint in our mix. And as they say in Russia, you kind of melt color in kind of to the wet paint, which you already have. And to make it slightly different from what we had, I will add my cadmium orange, a very small amount, just to give some sort of suggestion. I'm sure this must be pretty dark. Yes, it is. And I think this is very nice value and mix for this cloud. With direction of my brush strokes, you create feeling of movement. Looks like this is a moment when the moon just came out of the cloud, and maybe like in 3 minutes, it will again hide in clouds. You see how thin I overall go? Again, for those who love to paint thinly, this is a very good subject to work on. green, and brown. There are so many things which theoretically should work one way, and you start doing it, and then you realize that it should be a little bit changed. Kind of, you say, like I said, I need to go with a brownish color, but then I go with the green because the brown of this makes, it will start just competing. I just go rather with a neutral, and neutral here is created not by the blue and brown, but rather with the green and brown.
We have, by the way, about 10 minutes.
10 minutes to finish?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I know you're not going to completely finish, but I just want to let you know.
Yes. This feels like a quick draw, but with a commenting. So imagine I had to finish the painting and show it. What we usually do, we go over those areas which create feeling of completeness. And obviously the moon itself, if the moon, whole the story about the moon doesn't look great, feels like so much behind.
This is really good. Zufar, you're such a good teacher.
Thank you. I try to kind of foresee questions, especially since we can, I cannot even read because I'm focused on painting, but thank you for your compliment. And I try to foresee or remember those questions which students asked me during classes or during the plenary events. And
a lot of people around the world watching today. Hello, France. Hello, Bangladesh. Hello, England, Wexford, England, or is it Scotland? It's great seeing you guys. Tell us where you're watching from. It's terrific. I don't see anybody from Russia. I think it's just you.
Yes, it's 8 o'clock over there. They could join, but pretty soon with artificial intellect, translation will be easy.
Hello, Germany. Hello, Norway. Hello, Italy.
I'm creating that band, and I do not know. Can you see that? I think you can see that that next to the pink, that green looks, I don't know, makes both colors look richer. And I will do extra mix.
This is really good. This is one of my favorite demos ever.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad I could share it with your help, with many people, and of course with you, because I know you're working hard to make art, which definitely makes the world a better place. And we do it together.
People are happier when they're painting. I want to get more people painting.
Yeah.
I know you are.
Me too.
This is your second career.
Yes. When people ask me about my medical background, I say, I've seen so many doctors who are counting days, like if they were in prison, so when it will be, they can get retired. I haven't seen any artist who would say, starting tomorrow, I'm going to Bahamas, no more painting, and I'm happy. No, give me a painting like time, give me painting vacation, and every vacation for the artist is some work and pleasure.
How many years were you a doctor?
Not many, actually. In Russia, I was just 4 years. I finished residency, and then I started PhD program. Then the funding was very, very low. I thought it's not gonna be a good plan. And I knew a few medical illustrators at Yale. They came to my medical school like in 2001. Then I talked to them. They said, it's all commercial now. The farm companies, that's what you'll be dealing with. And then I met people who paint.
And they were happier.
They were happier, yes. We all, our life, learn how to be happy, but I think artists find it pretty quickly and easy. Not easy, but I would say quicker than other people. They feel it.
Yeah, but even when you're struggling, you're having fun.
So this day looks like what I'm painting. Halo is not that wide, so the same as on my reference. And again, the camera, that's one of the disadvantages. Of course, I mean, advantages of the human eye. You can see much, much more. And those subtle shifts, camera makes it a little too harsh. That is why original paintings are always much better than the images.
Carl was asking, do you ever use a removal tool such as rubber tip or Q-tip to remove excess?
Yes, definitely. So that will be later when, let's say, I will need especially the remote areas, edges here, to make it softer. Sometimes working with a, you can put a glove, of course, and then kind of like soften it this way. And then and far less definite are those
paint
edges.
with your fingers. You're a doctor. You know how dangerous that is.
Yeah, so I need to immediately wash it. Not every paint, actually. Titaniums are very stable, but the cadmiums, cobalts, I mean, chronic exposure and collecting it, if it gets, it will find a way. Just want to give few of those highlights again. I don't know, have many
They
people
really
in
make
our...
a difference, don't they? They really make those clouds three-dimensional.
Yes, usually light here is seen on edge specifically, and it's not only one color. I work here with complementary colors, green and pink, orange, very muted.
Somebody asked, did you say that you only paint diagonal because you get less glare?
I mean, overall, our brushstrokes, especially where the paint is applied heavily, you need to apply them under some angle, usually like this. So it has a less chance of glare, because once you finish painting, and it was sold, it starts a new life in somebody's home. You don't want them to kind of start hating a painting, like, there is no way I can hang it. It looked well on the show, but then when I sit on my couch, it's so much glare. We need to care about the technical aspects as well, if possible.
So we've got about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We're certainly getting the idea here.
You see, now I'm adding a little bit of green. So people may want to ask when, this kind of like presentation of the sky will go away, because it's little now. It's not even, the sky is clear there. So how to get rid of it? You'll do it right at the end. My last tip here will be, don't go heavily with ultramarine blue, like just pure of it. It seems to be nice for kind of making it, the whole this area even, but the ultramarine blue gets darker. You can make your whole sky too dark and too black, and you don't really want that. So have some support for your ultramarine blue. Add tiny amount of maybe like even titanium, and if it's turning too kind of like a bluish, so restrain it with small amount maybe of orange. It will make it grayish blue, and it will be much more difficult to apply that paint because you need to go very evenly, and then you need to do that stretch of the values lighter and lighter around, but really worth it. I've had a number of my nocturnes which I was painting, especially at plein air, and ultramarine is a great choice. I mean, it's need to be used cautiously. It works very well in mixes, yeah, or on very initial glazing. If you just will try.
There's a couple of palettes. There's a couple of questions about your palette box. It looks like it's a gray plastic box. What is it?
I created this just specifically for lessons. It's you know, it's unusual because it's vertical, and but you know, that's the only way I found that I can fit next to each other. I'm sorry. All this, my reference.
Yeah, it's nice.
My palette.
All right. Well, why don't you come back on camera real quick? We're not going to get it done, but we never do.
Yes. Yeah, I paint much slower. So just a moment.
Yeah, our guest today is Zufar Bikbov, and if you missed it, you didn't see the beginning, you go back and watch how he started this nocturne painting. It's really wonderful. Zufar, thank you so much. I'll encourage everybody to go into the comments and pick up your website and your social media so they can go follow you or go attend whatever you're doing, teaching. He's a fabulous teacher. You want to check him out. And of course, let's pull up that video one more time so that we can see that. It's 4 Steps to Landscape Painting, and it is a fabulous one. And you can find it at painttube.tv. And of course, you can, once you're in PaintTube, you can watch your videos on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Smart TV, and TV. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, man. We need to go painting.
Yes, absolutely. I will be working on this piece more. And what I want to say that this was just one example. And painting clouds around the moon is the whole world, because they could be different colors. So I'll be working more and more. Please follow us, and maybe one day we'll do a DVD with a nocturne painting. I hope so.
Oh, I like it. Well, we'll just get you signed up and get you into the studio and get that done.
Thank you, Eric. So happy to be here.
It's good to see you, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that was phenomenal. One of my favorite demos ever. And I like the subject, and I love nocturne paintings. I collect nocturne paintings. I don't have one of his. I need to work on that. And I'm gonna put a whole section of nocturne paintings on the new museum that I'm creating, which is the National Museum of Plein Air and Landscape Painting, to be followed up with more information on that in the future. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I'm Eric Rhoads. We would love for you to subscribe to this program. Just go to YouTube, look up Art School Live or my name, and hit the subscribe button. And of course, give me a follow on your social media. We love it when you guys share this, because the whole goal is to help other people see, I can do this, I can paint. And we believe if you watch any five of our demos where we've had, you know, thousands, literally thousands of people over painting, teaching demos, you can learn how to paint for free. Now, we have resources like Zufar's video and many others at painttube.tv, where we go into depth and training levels you just couldn't possibly do on YouTube, and, you know, professionally produced, really super high quality. And we have over 700 art instruction courses on painttube.tv, so check it out. And thank you for tuning in today. Make sure to subscribe to the program, and make sure if you had an aha moment, you go into the comments and just put what that aha moment was. And please tell everybody about what you've seen here today. Thank you to Zufar, and thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you. Bye-bye.